Hi everyone, my name is Mathilde Gordon. I've just been back from a beach cleanup with Tangaroa Blue, so I want to make a video to tell you all about that. I started being aware about marine debris and the impact that we have on the earth with plastics a few years ago when I did my first cleanup with the Tangaroa Blue Foundation. I was picking up bottles and toothbrushes and plastic bags and all these things, and I started just getting really frustrated about, why were these people littering these things into the ocean? Why are they washing up on our beach? And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I was like, any of these things could be my rubbish, essentially. Since then, I've started living a single-use plastic-free life with my friend Lucy. Tangaroa Blue is a fantastic organisation because they actually don't just clean up beaches. What we do is we collect all the rubbish that we find on the beach, and then we enter every single piece into a huge database that has over millions of pieces of information now. From that database, they can trace the rubbish back to the source. And if you're out on the beach collecting all the rubbish, you start to feel really down about all the plastic that's in the world. What keeps me going is knowing that that information is then going on to something much bigger and much more important, and it's targeting the rubbish from where it's coming from. We were up at Chilli Beach, which is up in Cape York. We had a few different groups with us, so it was Tangaroa Blue, we had Clean Coast Collective, we had local Indigenous rangers, we had kids coming from Lockhart School, and we had Conservation Volunteers Australia. So there were about 40 people cleaning up the beach, which was epic. Luckily we had that because otherwise we would never have been able to get the job done. Chilli Beach is really beautiful, but unfortunately because of its position and because of the currents and the tides, it collects a massive amount of marine debris every single year. Tangaroa Blue has been going back there for 5 years now. In the first year they found 5.5 tonne on the beach, and last year it went down to 2.3. Over 90% of the rubbish that gets washed up on Chilli Beach is from the ocean, from fishing boats, other countries overseas, and it's been carried into the water for sometimes a really long time, sometimes only a couple of weeks. So after spending hours and hours and hours cleaning up on the beach, all of the bags are weighed, and then each bag is emptied out and sorted by the volunteers into different material types. So you have like your hard plastics and soft plastics and rope and fishing, and then it's further broken down into more categories like bathroom and personal care and food packaging. After the second day of picking up rubbish, it became apparent that we weren't actually going to get through all of the bags and count every single piece of rubbish that we found. So what we had to do was actually go through the bags in a fast chain kind of method and just pick certain categories. So we had, for example, thongs and toothbrushes and plastic bottles. So at the end of the 5 days, we tallied up all of the weight of the bags, and what we found was absolutely insane. So we actually picked up about 7 tonne from Chilli Beach, which is not only the record for Chilli Beach but also the record for any Tangaroa Blue Foundation cleanup all over Australia. So that's both really awesome because now that's 7 tonne of rubbish that's not on the beach and not going to be broken down into smaller microplastics, but it's actually also really depressing because that has all been collected there in about a year. 2,279 toothbrushes, combs and razors, 3,204 bleach bottles, 3,325 plastic drink bottles, over 5,500 thongs. Over 60% of the debris removed was hard plastic remnants. We pretty much had to stop ourselves from getting anything that was smaller than a bottle cap because otherwise we would have been there for months. I remember on day 3 feeling so disheartened because it would take us about 4 to 5 hours to clean up a 100-meter stretch of beach, and you'd stand up from your pile of plastic and look in front of you and it would just like stretch out as far as the eye can see. These cleanups are not all doom and gloom. You actually have a lot of fun. We got to see a beautiful beach even though it did have rubbish on it. When we finished, it was important to look behind us and see what we'd cleaned up. You could see that the locals really appreciated coming to the beach after a cleanup, and some of them even helped us along the way. Some of them even piled up bags on the side of the beach in the months prior to the cleanup to help us out. Perspective on plastics is changing. So 14 years ago when Heidi started talking about marine debris, people actually thought she was talking about driftwood washing up onto the beaches, and they were like, what's the big deal? Now if you walk out in the street, maybe 8 people in every 10 that you ask will at least know that marine debris exists, that it's rubbish and that it's a massive problem. So that's fantastic. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. I should probably look pissed off. I can't. I'm laughing.
When you're ready.
Yeah? Okay, I'll start. Careful.